So here we are, November 20, and what are we doing?
Questions.
Chloe, do you want to ask them?
Okay. I'll do like half and then
Can split it up. Okay, shall I start?
You start.
I'll do the small.
Where did you attend school?
Where?
Where? What school did you attend?
Canterbury Cathedral Choir School, and then King's School, Canterbury.
Grandy?
No, I'm not being interviewed.
Where were you before that? Dad, where were you before that?
Grandma was talking behind me.
I was at a, I have to be a bit careful of the terminology of these places. It was a preliminary school from the age of 5 to when I had interviewed for Choir School Canterbury when I was 8. So for those 3 years I was at school in Wembley Park Drive in Wembley. And I used to know the name, and I would remember the name, but I can't at the moment, of the school.
Next question.
Do you want to do yours?
Okay. And is there anything you have always wanted to do but haven't?
Yes, I wanted to be a singer. And at the age of 18 I was, well, I cheated out of it, yes. I went for a choral scholarship to King's College, Cambridge, and the chap who was organist and choirmaster there wanted to give the scholarship to me, and the dean, to whom he reported, told him he must give it to the Archbishop's son, who was also there. And so the Archbishop's son got it, and I got nothing. So that was a bit of a
We were
blow.
offered a place at the next door college. No, which I can't remember.
Keys, right?
No, it wasn't Keys.
Not Keys?
Gonville.
Keys and Gonville,
Gomble and Keys.
or Gonville and Keys, okay.
So why didn't you go there? when you
Yes,
were
why
at that
didn't you
place?
go there?
Well, because I'd got a bit
Razi.
keen on my ability as a singer, and I didn't want to go on a secondary scholarship. I wanted King's, the top one, and that was it. So I didn't.
Okay. Do you remember where you went on your first date with your spouse?
Where did you and Grandy first go on your first date?
Yes, remember that.
No.
Grandy, do you remember?
First date?
Sort of. Yes. Because it was at the dance that was held at the club in at Thompson's Falls.
Oh, wow.
And you had to escort me, bad luck.
Oh, your employer
Yes,
had
she'd organised it.
Yes, had contacted me and said that he'd got this girl out from England who was looking for a partner for the dance, and would I go there? Which was quite a compliment, because, blimey, I mean, they lived a long way away from me anyway, and I'd hardly ever met the fellow, but he obviously thought I would be right for a dance.
They'd not met me even.
Sorry?
They hadn't fixed, I mean, when they fixed it up, they hadn't met me either.
Oh, all right.
Where was the dance?
Okay.
At the club, which the club
Thompson's Falls Club,
at Thompson's Falls, and club life was the big thing.
which
then.
was had a golf course, and
Everybody met there, and it was. I don't know, it was a very lovely
the club,
dance.
the local club.
Yes, that's riding.
Yes, I've forgotten all of that. Yeah.
Question?
What line? That one.
Unless I had it in my book.
Why didn't you just do the first one?
Okay, Grandpa, what is your favourite music?
Oh yes, please eat that, Patrick.
Grandpa,
Yes.
what is your favourite music?
Yes, well, I'm sort of struggling with that. I don't know really that I have any favourite music. I just enjoy certain music and do not enjoy certain other music. I find the modern music I find difficult to enjoy very often. The tempo of it that seems to impede on the tune. I like music with real tune to it that I could sing to if I want. Yeah. So of course, you know, I was brought up on the classical music of ye Mozarts and Beethovens and Bachs and people. Because of course I sang to them a lot at the choir school, and then in the choir at King's School I sang a lot of that stuff as well. So it was those people whose music I used to sing, and I got to know and to love really. So yeah. A boring answer, sorry.
How did you find out you were going to be a parent for the first time?
Going to be parents for the first time.
Yeah. How? Where?
Next.
Well, he was a mistake.
As he films from his camera.
Next question.
Describe your wedding proposal.
My dad's working on an
Oh,
answer.
yeah.
He's working on it.
Nigel's just rude because he doesn't want to know the answer.
Our marriage was pretty well arranged and organised, and now you can hear me getting upset to talk about it. We worked very straightforwardly at all the items in our marriage, and so to have children, we Grandy thought to have something like 2 or 3 years between each would be right, and maximum of 3 children would probably be right, and so that's what we planned really. So our children were all planned from the beginning, I would say, and so Nigel arrived shortly or within a year of our marriage. In 1959, we were married in 58, Nigel came in 1959. And this was in Kenya, in East Africa. So Randy had a little bit of problem.
I didn't know the people we were with. We had to wait for the hospital because I didn't know when Nigel would arrive. we went down to stay with a farming couple. That name which I completely forgotten.
Because they were nearer the hospital?
Because they were nearer the hospital,
Okay.
and then Nigel didn't arrive when he was meant to.
Always been
And so I took myself off to the out of the hospital and went to the Nakuru show, which was, they said, very dusty. Don't go near there, we won't get you back.
Agricultural
But they did. Oh,
Is
my
that-
goodness.
The answer?
Well, I think that's a good enough answer, don't you?
Okay.
We had a third child for sure because we had two boys to start with.
Worried for a minute.
And Mum was, and Grandy used to say, you know, it's all right. I'm very pleased to have two boys. However, we've got to have a girl as well to balance it up. So we tried a third time, and sure enough,
Dad was off
we
to
had a
the-
girl.
You threatened to go off to the Foreign Legion if you had another boy.
Okay. No.
Something like that.
How did you two meet? How,
Sorry?
We've
how
done
did
that.
you two... Have you?
We've sort of
read
done
that
that.
one.
Alright. Did you have a nickname when you were growing up? If so, what was it and why were you called that?
Oh, that's difficult to remember. I mean, I remember Ozzy, but I'm sure there were. And I did have one or two other nicknames, but I can't remember immediately what they were.
So were you called Ozzy?
Because Osborne,
Oh.
short Osborne. Yes.
Grandy had one.
Yes, I had.
What was
Jet-
yours?
Mine was Jetty.
Why?
J. Atkinson. Very simple. And I'm still called that by various.
And now she's known as B. Atkinson.
I'm not an Atkinson anymore. Never mind.
I don't think they got your joke, Dad.
No, I didn't hear it. What was that? B.
Batty.
A bet.
How is that funny?
So, do you want a question or do you want one?
How is that funny? How is that funny? Tell me, how is that funny?
Oh, it's the
They can't leave.
Don't put those dentures back in.
How is that funny?
Because it used to be Jetty, J. Atkinson.
Yeah, and he said Batty, whatever, why?
Batty's a bit rude, isn't it? Batty.
Oh!
Shall I just do the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Grandpa, what kind of work did your parents do?
Oh gosh.
My father was an office worker in London, and he became assistant London agent in the office of the Rhodesia Railways. So he was in our house, and he was keen on playing cards and things, and he taught me whist and bridge and things. And we would have the cards we played with, they were backed by the Victoria Falls, the falls in Rhodesia. So that was, he worked in London, and he would go up by train every day from our home in Wembley initially. And
Yeah, Alison.
He had one or two other office jobs before that, but that was what he really became pretty good at. Because when the war came and we moved to Ascot, we moved our home to Ascot.
I don't want to.
Okay, then we'll just have to move that.
No.
Granny,
No,
sit
no.
up. There we go.
Okay, I've got a question. Describe your wedding proposal.
We've had
That's
that
not
once.
No, I asked it, but
Can you?
I just asked straightforward, would you marry me? And the answer I got was,
No.
are you serious? And I said, yes, why? She said, well, I've had one or two others that were not so serious.
oh.
Yes.
Would you like to expand on those others?
No.
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay. We've got a question.
Whoops.
What kind of what? Oh wait, no, we've done that one. Who were your parents? Please give full names.
Yes, well, my father was Cecil George Osborne, and my mother was Valda. I'm not sure whether she had a second name. Valda Osborne.
No, she wasn't Osborne initially.
Oh, sorry,
Wickstead.
she was Valda Wickstead. Yes, which is from Scandinavia and Ireland, and through Ireland they came.
It's a lovely story about your dad
You'll be in the picture.
putting off this proposal until she was such and such an age. She wasn't an age. She got to a certain age because he was older than her.
Yes, he was quite a bit older than my mother was 15 when my father first met her,
Yes.
and he said, I will wait for you, which he did.
How much older was he?
Yes, he was
5 years or so.
a good 10 years, I think. He was.
He waited until she was 21, I suppose.
Sorry, dear.
Until she was 21.
Yes, okay. So she was 21, he was 31. That was about it. Yes, 10 years.
Grandy, what are
And
your
he did wait for her. Yes.
My parents' names. My father was Thomas Kenneth Whitmore Atkinson, and he was the son of a headmaster. And my mother's name was Winifred. I can't remember her name. What? Mary. Winifred Mary, I suppose. She was a Carruthers. Carruthers. C-A-R-R, which is not the usual spelling of the word at all.
And some Irish and Scottish in there?
Yes. Her grandfather was Coast the Irish, and I don't know where the Scots came in.
Well, there's
Well,
a,
my grandmother was an Allen, which is the Scots name.
there was MacDonald in there too, right?
Well, I think MacDonald came before the Allen. I think it was kind of.
Okay. Do you what
Give everyone else a chance. Then.
Chloe's almost done.
what pets what pets have you had? Do you have a favourite story about a pet?
Lovely.
Pet.
So did you have any pets, and do you have a favourite story of one pet?
I don't think it's recorded.
Well, Grandy would remember this better than
It
I.
is.
but,
Well, very much,
we've always
very
had-
much Alsatians.
We've always had a dog, typically an Alsatian we liked
It's just a red
as a
dog.
dog, and we've always had one.
I don't remember the stories. Particular stories.
I think so.
No?
Yeah, you do. You got a story of
Hmm?
Janet who pushed you away from a puff adder in Kenya, right?
Oh, Janet would have done, yes. And the adder was when I was carrying you
Yeah.
down beyond the eucalyptus trees we had then. And I ran like the clappers and I had to get over a fence
Yeah.
with you.
So the dog pushed you away from the
I
snake.
have no idea what
Snake?
she did, but
Yeah.
yes, if you say so, your
Yeah.
memory is better than mine.
Yeah, well, I wasn't born at the time or whatever.
No, but your memory of my telling
Yeah.
this tale, mine is non-existent
I
now.
remember that. That story was a famous story.
Okay.
And you had the
She
little
was,
Scotty dog.
And we had a little Scotty dog from, who was inherited by the Campbell Clauses. They had it as a pup, and it seemed to attach itself to me, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
But it hid under the house. The house is bungalow type, as all houses are in East Africa. It hid under the house when we were gone on safari or came back here for some reason or another. And it was taken by our neighbours who befriended it, and it was they who took on the dog when we left the country finally.
And the last dog you had was Tamsin, right?
Yes.
Who were your childhood role models or heroes?
Yeah, yours.
Sorry?
Who is your childhood hero or role model?
Oh my.
Give you something to think about.
I'm too full.
Well, I was keen on admiring boxers in those days, Joe Louis, for example. And in fact, I got into boxing at school because it was the manly art of self-defense in those days, you know. Not a stupid way to lose your eyesight, sort of thing.
Please.
Grandpa chocolate.
Okay.
It's going to have to be a question about
It's a
chocolate.
break.
What's your favourite chocolate?
What's it? The answer is yes.
Yes, I know.
Have you got one? Yes. Thank you. Ooh, this is nice.
I've rather forgotten
those are
what
really
I'm trying
nice.
to remember.
Childhood
Boxers.
heroes.
Childhood, yeah.
Yes.
Cavity Carrier was mine. And I think Florence Nightingale was at some stage.
And we were brought up on Christianity and so on, and so Onward Christian Soldiers was thing, and so from that one got to the Crusades and so on. Rather admiring the people who were in that sort of thing. Historical heroes of England, of course. Yep.
What kind of jobs have you had, and which one was your favorite?
Which one was your favourite? Now you know that.
Grandy.
Well, tell me, which one was?
Last one you had in Kenya. I should think.
Oh yes, I suppose it was, yes. I became, well, when I was looking for something to do at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21 in England, I got to an advert I saw from the Crown agents which said we're looking for young Brits who know a bit about agriculture to go out to Africa and teach Africans agriculture. So the next moment I was having an interview in London, and the next moment I was on a boat going to Mombasa, East Africa, which was where I stopped off. And I was started on a farm which was part of the veterinary department, and the head of the veterinary department seemed to think I was good material for what he was looking for and so on. And so I got to going round farms all around Kenya, European farms all around, selling them chemicals for spraying and dipping animals to kill the ticks and other insects which were bothering us. And I did that fairly well, and then I married, and Jane was pretty keen on us going back to England so that she could...
Oh gosh, no, that is a long time later.
So a long time later, I was pretty keen on... We skipped a few chapters.
There's a little doglet coming through.
No, she's not.
Stop changing the subject.
So we...
Pass me that.
Yeah, you've got that in my book that we took this farm and so on. So we've got all that. Yeah. And when we came back again, I was dug out of England by my big boss. He said, "Hey, we want you to go back to Kenya." And I said, "Oh, but you know, I did all that time there, and now I've been working for us back here." And he said, "If you do not take this opportunity, I shall consider you have no further interest in your career."
What?
They were his exact words, which I will never forget. So I said, "Oh, thank you, sir." And fairly soon afterwards, we went back to Kenya, where, as Grandy reminds me, I became Big Cheese there. And that was, I suppose, the work that I enjoyed the most, being Big Boss. I had a few hundred staff and operations in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, and indeed in Somalia and Ethiopia. And so it all went fairly well, and that was my favourite work, working in Kenya for the Wellcome Foundation, which was who I was working for.
I've got a question.
Go on then.
What happened to you both as children during the war?
Yes.
That is one of the ones on here.
Yes, well, I joined the Canterbury Cathedral Choir School when I was 8, and that was therefore in 1937. And as you know, the war started a couple of years later than that. So 2 years after I'd started at the Cathedral Choir School in Canterbury, we were evacuated to Cornwall to get us away from the bombing which had started. And so to Cornwall we went, and it was there that the Dean of Canterbury said, "Sorry, I can no longer afford to keep you lot. What are we going to do?" And we said, "Well, we'll sing for our money." and that's what we did. The choir school, the boarders we were, not day boys, there were a few day boys, but we were the boarders, sang regularly for collection money, and that collection money kept us at a small hotel cum cafe in St Blaise on the south coast of Cornwall, near Par and Foy and those sorts of places. And what am I on about? What happened in our schools?
Yes,
The
childhood.
war.
No, the
So the
war.
war. So you've been evacuated to Cornwall,
Yeah.
singing for your supper.
And we had an interesting time down there with American troops and things practicing for invasion of Europe, and they were around quite a lot. So that took me to the end of the war, and we went back to Canterbury, then at King's School, Canterbury. Oh, sorry, yes. I went down in the choir school to Cornwall, and then come 1943, when I had reached the year that I should leave the choir school, I went on to King's School, because we were given a special scholarship as the choir school to go on to King's School. And I went on there, and with King's School came back to Canterbury and settled at the house, settled at the house Meister Omers, it called itself, in Canterbury, in the cathedral precincts, there where most of the school was, certainly the boarders. And that was where I spent my last 2 or 3 years, seeing out my time, convincing myself that I wanted to be a singer and that I was the greatest at that, and failing to get the scholarship that I wanted at Cambridge, and as a result frigging around, going into agriculture and so on, and then spotting that advert and going up to London, getting the interview and going out to East Africa in agriculture. So that was me.
Grandy, what were you doing?
And, excuse me, sorry. And Grandy was very bothered about the fact that I had no qualification of any, I had no degree, and she was on at me, so that I took the diploma in marketing of the Institute of Marketing, and that taught me quite a lot, which was helpful in my career, actually. Yeah.
Did you say?
Sorry, now then,
Yeah, what were
come
you
on,
doing?
your schools.
Oh gosh, well I don't remember the schools, except one I went to, at the beginning of the war, we went up to Scotland for 6 months, and my mother shared a house with 2 other naval wives, and that was fine, and my father came up to see us once, I think, only once, when he had leave, but that was very inconvenient for him, way up to Scotland. On the west coast, Jeremy's been there to see the house, it still exists. And then we came down to Somerset and stayed with relations through the war, and I went to school with an uncle of mine who was about my age. It seems rather stupid, but he was. And Fairfield School, Bakewell or somewhere. Anyway, it was a bus journey and a walk. We did it all on our own, and it was
How old were you?
about 6, 7. I mean, crazy now. You wouldn't dream of sending a child off to walk and bus and walk back, and after dark probably in the winter. Anyway, I loved that school, and we did reasonably well. And then I have no idea what happened. We went back to Lumley Croft, which we bought before the war, and then I went to 1 or 2 local schools, and I don't remember them at all. And then I went to St Swithin's, where I was very happy, which was gorgeous, and I was a boarder there.
Where was this now?
St Swithin's.
How old were you then?
It was 11.
So it was after the war.
It was
so once
after
the
the
war
war.
had finished, you
Yes, finished. And my father was killed during the war. Yeah. So that's my contribution.
So where do you remember where you were when you heard that your father had been killed?
Yes, I do remember that
So
distinctly.
where were you?
It was way after the war, and when my mother knew that my father had been killed. I was at St Swithin's, and I was taken out by my mother and an aunt who who came from the family that we lived with in Somerset, and she was very friendly, great friends of hers, and they told me then. And I went back to school that day, and the house knew. The house knew. They'd probably been told by the house mistress, I don't know. Anyway, I remember crying. I remember being very sad. For a father I hardly knew, because he'd always been at sea. There we are. Yeah.
Still, he's there in your mind, isn't
Yes,
he?
he is.
It must have been.
Even nowadays,
horrible.
when we have the Remembrance Day, it's
Mm.
definitely there.
And where were your mum and dad during the war then, Dad?
Well, we moved about a bit because, quite interestingly, at a very young age, my sister, who was 5 years younger than I think, was taken to the local ice rink at Wembley at the age of 3 or something, and she started skating. And my mother, who was a little bit interested in skating and had met this Swiss trainer, got him to take a particular interest in my sister Valda. And so he took an interest in her to the extent that she became a gold medalist at the age of 9 and still is the youngest ever. And so, as Wembley became bombed and so on, and skating was so important to our family, we moved to be near Richmond Ice Rink, and we moved into some flats quite close to Richmond Ice Rink, close to the Thames there, just on the Twickenham side of the Richmond Bridge. And sorry, what am I on about? don't know.
So that was the three children and your mum and dad. You all moved there to Richmond.
Oh yes, and Richard, of course, went to America as a very youngster. Richard was the third child.
Yes, Richard is American, of course. No, yeah.
And he went to Oregon. I don't think he went to Oregon initially.
I had an uncle, Tom Wickstead, who was sent to Canada because of his health. And there he jumped a train down to the States, which is where he spent all his life. Down and he has been quite an artist, publicly producing stuff. Down in California area, and he married I think a Polish American girl, and they had a family, and so that's where that part of our American family lives. Yeah.
But now Richard lives in Tennessee. He's moved from Oregon. His first wife died, and he's married again.
Sorry, folks, I don't remember these things as well as I should.
That's alright. I've got a next one. If you could only keep 5 possessions, what would they be?
Oh my goodness me.
It's a bit of a tough one.
Extensive one.
Yeah.
If you
It's
could
like
only
that.
keep 5 possessions,
Yes,
What
well,
would they
yes.
It's like that if you were on a desert island,
Yeah.
what would you take or something?
Oh my goodness me, what would you take? That needs thinking about.
Well, assume that you've got all the necessities. Like, you know.
Ice cream and
Smartphone.
Would you count
Yeah,
that?
ice cream.
I think probably pictures are the main thing. Photographs. I don't know what else.
the chair.
well, it would have been, of course, my machine, whatever it was.
Whatever that thing was.
After the typewriter, the calculator.
The computer.
Computer.
Computer. is the
The
word.
calculator.
Computer. Yeah. That would have been important, I think. But I can't see to do that sort of thing these days. So
Mouse has
that
vanished.
has reduced my ability. It's my eyesight. So I don't know. I would take my spectacles.
A necessity
Reading
is
and distance. And my sunglasses.
That's 3 down.
The scarf, yeah.
Hat, scarf, sunglasses, chair, ice cream, and chocolate. There we go.
There we
What do you
go. That's
need?
enough.
Right, next question.
Have you got any?
Mine's rolling off pretty much.
Yeah, so
What is
yes.
your favorite myth monster and why?
That's not it.
Did you hear that?
Oh,
You
God.
asked a question.
I only know like
Yeah, I
one.
don't even.
I
That's
don't
a-
have a mythical sea monster.
Yes.
I don't think we know them.
There's only the Loch Ness Monster, that's the only one. Or,
Oh, the Loch Ness.
or maybe
job.
there's more, but I don't know what they are.
Yes.
Do you have
Kraken.
Oh,
Oh, Oh yeah,
There's another one.
of course.
Do you remember
it-
any fads
that's-
from your youth, like popular hairstyles and clothing?
What are you saying about Dad's hair?
Was that one highlighted? Are you just picking the ones that are
Yes.
Yeah, that one was highlighted.
Yes, I remember
Oh, you can chose that one.
bowler hats.
Oh yeah.
Bowler hats, which were worn in London by anybody who thought he was anybody in an office, wore a bowler hat.
What's that?
Yeah, black bowler hat. Yeah.
I'll show you.
That's funny. I can't imagine anyone wearing something like that now.
No,
No,
no, you don't see them now hardly at all.
Grandy, can you think of any?
My father walking.
We're on a different question.
Oh, it's
Yeah, we have
on a
changed
different
questions.
question. Okay.
Fads and fashions from when you were
No, I
growing
can't
up.
think of any.
I've got a
really
question.
can't think
Tell
of
us
any.
about your days nursing in London, Brandy.
Extreme tiredness.
Yeah, but apart from that, so start. How long were you there, and where were you? And what,
Oh, I was probably there about 4 years. I nursed initially in Oxford and got the orthopaedics certificate.
Remind us the names of the hospital, because it was a pretty important hospital where you were.
Well, I can't remember its name,
Oh,
which doesn't help.
sorry, I shouldn't have done.
Which was at Headington. I can't remember the name of the hospital. It was orthopaedics anyway, and only. And then I went up to London after I got that. What was a question from you? Yes.
and where did you live? Why were you working? What were you doing?
Oh, initially we lived in the houses that were provided, but then we moved out until we found in Victoria. We found a place.
Who's we? You and who?
Various friends, but they were
Friends,
always on
yeah.
duty, and when I wasn't,
Okay.
and vice versa.
Nuffield?
It was the previous Nuffield Hospital. That was in Oxford. Yes. It's now called the Nuffield, probably, and it wasn't called that. The Atkinson, oh no, it wasn't. The Atkinson Morley we were sent to in London from St George's. St George's had lots of parts, and I didn't go to them all, but I did go to one in Wimbledon, which I remember very clearly. It was and on night duty there, and we used to put a record on the gramophone and be asleep before it even started, and there it was, turning around hours. When we woke up eventually, it was still turning around. Anyway. I'm used to going to Wimbledon, watch Wimbledon when everybody came out. We used to watch when the cheap seats were available then.
Okay. What life advice would you pass along to your grandchildren?
Choose to be happy.
Oh yes, how awful.
What
Every
is your
time he is
5-year
driving.
plan?
Yes.
Every time you are driving, choose to be happy.
Yes, I was 55 before I learned that. Yeah. Choose to be happy.
What would you
I was
advise Alec to do with life?
Just
Plucking.
Huh?
Plucking.
Are you good at every subject? You haven't got a subject you prefer? Would
No,
love
not
to
really.
do. No, not really.
We're interviewing you, not you interviewing us.
I was about to ask Albert a
Much
question.
rather, much rather interview everybody else.
What I tell you what subjects were you good at school, Grandpa?
That's
Apart
my
from
next
singing.
one, Mum.
Oh, sorry.
Stop taking over.
No, you don't get credit for it now.
She's asking all
Sophie,
the
do you have a
questions on the
question?
sheet before they're coming up.
Maths and French I liked,
And
but
you use them both?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, what else do you... Oh, scripture I used to do a bit of, but that hasn't stayed very well.
Why did you decide not to go to college? Because of the singing scholarship thing?
Yes. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all hinged on the singing?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Idiotic,
Yeah,
yes.
because
But
financial,
singing and
you know,
where?
partly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to finish our days to come back to Cambridge.
Yeah.
Having
Gone full circle.
gone full circle.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I think that's enough.
And Gandhi, same for you. What was your field of study and did you get good grades? Was the one that I was meant to
I
ask?
certificate. And I got very good grades in art, recent subject,
That's not useless.
and biology I loved.
Yeah.
Biology was one of the sciences and I did enjoy that, but I didn't think we were taught well at the other subjects of the sciences. I did enjoy life.
Yeah, sport was important for me. School.
Well, the next one is what school activities and sports did you take part in? So there you go, that can link.
Yeah. Yes, right. Well, I was rugby, boxing, tennis, hockey, all the major sports. I wasn't very keen on athletics. Somehow it seemed boring running, and it didn't. I couldn't see that you were using your brain. You were just testing your body against other people. Whereas in sports, I like to think I was testing my brain as much as anything. Yeah.
Gandhi?
Sports?
Sports or activities? Like extracurricular?
And singing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have
Played
so
the
many
piano as well.
extracurricular things.
So that I could accompany
sports,
myself
yes.
singing sometimes.
I was fastish and I sort of enjoyed tennis and lacrosse we played.
You were very speedy. You always used to win the mum's sprint
Yes, I
at
did.
Sports Day.
Sports Day. That's right. Yeah,
But it
Grandy
didn't
would
pay.
finish and all the other mums were about halfway down the track. Very quick.
But I
I'd forgotten that. That's an interesting observation. Yeah.
yes.
Do you
But I sport didn't play a big part. No, I think friends were.
But you
biggest
didn't
part.
run at school in any way.
Yes, no, I didn't. I took part in the various sports days, but
proposals at the top.
I don't remember them as
Oh,
being
right.
special.
So, Grandpa, how far did you take your sport? How far did you get with boxing? How far did you get with hockey? Start with rugby. How far did you get with
Yes,
rugby?
I
To be
played.
fair, I pretty
I
much
played
finished
rugby
mine
to quite a
After
level.
the
I played for
polio
London
arm.
London counties versus the rest of England schoolboys.
and
We
after,
beat the rest of England.
after your polio arm session, you gave up some of the sports, didn't
Oh
you?
yes, oh sure, sure. But
But
I thought
tennis,
Patrick
you,
was talking about in my school days.
Yeah, I
oh
was.
yes, you were. probably.
So I was captain of boxing at school, and I was a goalkeeper at hockey, and tennis I was partner of the captain. So I played fairly well at sports, and enjoyed them. Spent too much time on them probably.
Yes, and you didn't play sport when you were singing. As a youngster, you didn't play sport.
At the choir school, we had very little sport, of course, because it was
No,
all
so they
singing,
took over rather.
learning, singing. Yeah. Yes. And then when I got to King's, it was a different matter. There was friends who were into sports, and so I got into them as well. Yeah. Yeah. And continued with my singing, which was taken on quite well, but the headmaster at King's was quite interested in my abilities, and so generally speaking the music masters and people took an interest, and so I got on with singing quite well. Yeah.
Any more questions?
What kind of childhood games did you play in addition to sport? Like any childhood games you played, like a hide and seek variant, or any type of game like that?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, we had terrible children's parties.
I didn't think.
Is that what you thought at the time too?
Well, the last straw was when a friend of Alison's broke a table, the main table that we'd had, you know, in
How?
the dining room, by sitting on it. She was a bit of a lump.
It's moved on a bit. Right. What food did you have at school? What was school lunches like? Or what was?
I don't remember them.
Well, of course, in the war, it was a bit difficult to eat well, so we didn't.
I think we were much fitter during the war. On a restricted diet, we
Yeah.
were much fitter.
Fitter.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, you didn't see plump people around,
Yeah.
did you?
Were you looking at Nigel when you said that?
Yes. I intended not
So were you
to.
looking away from Nigel when you?
Yes.
You keep doing what you feel good with doing, babe.
Oh dear.
So how was the food restricted at school? You just had small portions, or
Well, I
you?
think we just didn't go back for more. Yes.
Like an Oliver.
Yes.
Is that where your love of ice cream came from?
Could be.
Being starved of ice cream as a child.
Yeah.
When was the first time you rode an airplane, and what did you think of it?
The first time I went out to East Africa, which wasn't the first time. I've done a plane, yes, it probably was. And it only flew in daylight hours, it didn't fly at night, so we had several stops on the way there. And it was fine as far as it went, but it took forever to get to East Africa.
Yes, as I said, I went by boat out to Kenya initially, and I was something of an age before I flew on a plane, I think. So I was in my mid-20s or something before I flew on a plane, I think. Yeah.
Must have been when we came back to get married.
Yeah.
Might have been the first trip
Yeah, might be.
by air.
Oh, right.
I have
Okay.
no idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know where. Did you ever go on holiday by plane? No.
No, not that I remember.
No, we didn't as children. We were lucky to go on a bicycle.
Yeah. By train in those days.
Yes.
Erica, do you remember the first time you broke your hand in half?
I never noticed that. In that picture, my hand is like
Really?
it's
At a
massive.
right angle.
See?
I must have been so nervous. I was like,
Oh, very sweet.
That's
Well,
about
I
as,
was
Look how
told
long my
it's
fingers
mild,
are.
that's
don't
as far as my
smile.
hand
That's
goes,
why
I
I've gone
think.
Yes,
to
it must be your
I
hand.
can still do it. I can.
Angelic.
Oh, you can. That is.
Well, you said because I used to smile.
No, that's as far as my hand goes. I am very not bendy
Yeah,
at
I
all.
can.
My
Yeah, I
arms
can
don't
still
even
do
go
it.
straight.
It does look enormous.
So do you remember when you got your first television?
We did have them in East Africa, and I do remember the one occasion when the football match, all the scoring was in extra time, and we had no extra time. It cut off dead. So we didn't know the score. It was 0-0 probably.
Did you have? You didn't have
Yes.
televisions as children.
We would
No.
go. We would go to a sports club to watch television. We didn't have one ourselves for some time. We would go to Parklands, or I did anyway, to watch sport there
Yes.
on television.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yes.
Parklands Sports Club. Yeah. Where I used to play tennis. I remember watching the All Blacks there. Watching the Lions beat the All Blacks that time.
And we had a black television or a colourless television in this country for many years.
Yeah.
When the children were little, we didn't have a coloured picture to watch. Well, we thought it was extravagant. And then colour came along and televisions got bigger.
Yes.
What did you do to entertain yourselves as
Well,
children
we
without
must have
television?
played. I remember Patrick, who used to say,
No,
Again?
when you were children, not when we
"Oh,
were children. When you were children.
when we were children."
I want to hear that now.
Now I want to know what Patrick did now.
Yeah.
Come on, give it.
I don't remember that. Well, when we were children, but we played endless games when you children were
I
little.
know. I'm interested in your childhood, not
Yes, no, I've jumped a generation.
What did you do for entertainment, Grandpa, when you were a
Yes,
child?
you must have
trying to
read.
remember there. I don't
Ball in a cup.
remember very
You
well.
hit a tyre with a stick.
I would get round to the nearest ice rink in those days, because Valda was leading on so well on her ice skating career.
But you used to meet up with your friends there.
Yeah,
You didn't have the
yeah, that's right. So I'm quite right. I met up. I used to make and a gang of
And
us
you
fellows
went to
would.
spend a lot of time with Alan, your cousin, and you played
I had all of it.
Monopoly
Everything.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Totopoly
Totopoly
and all
and
the games that
Tri-Tactic.
existed.
Totopoly.
yes, Monopoly and Totopoly. Yes,
Yeah, well,
that was horses.
I
Yeah.
told
Was it? Totopoly was horses.
With horses, yeah.
Oh, right.
And Tri-Tactics. I don't think that exists anymore.
No, I've not heard of either of those.
No. Yeah. Yes, my cousin. He lived round the corner at in Wembley, so that was we played together these games to keep ourselves going in the holidays. Yeah,
Dover Patrol.
that's right. Also, yes,
Another one. Big
Yes.
one.
yeah, Dover Patrol. True.
That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. No kidding.
Pick up sticks.
There's another one.
Another one?
Pick up sticks.
No, I don't remember that.
Tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywinks. I
What
remember
are
that.
tiddlywinks?
Pelmanism.
What?
It's a card game.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, Carpark talked about playing cards.
Oh, there were, of course, cards all the time, yeah.
Well, my mother didn't play cards, but your parents did play cards.
Yes, they played bridge and so on, as a couple down at the club and so on, yeah.
So what was boarding school like? Were you in dormitories? What did you do to entertain yourselves there, or was it very strict?
Still wanted to
Very strict, probably. Well, the house mistress said you were going to sleep, and we went to sleep.
Yeah, dormitories,
There was supposed to be dormitories.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember misbehaving in dormitories. Right.
Where do you remember misbehaving, Grandpa?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't remember, that's right.
have another drink and then think about it.
What
How
was the
did you-
naughtiest thing you ever did, Grandpa, as a child?
Well, you see, getting to the choir school so young and to religion and so on, being imbued, I was fairly careful not to do naughty things. While I wasn't a goodie, as you might think,
You won the whipping record. You won the record
oh,
for
that's
whipping.
true, yes. Yes, I won the beating. At the choir school, I was beaten more times by the headmaster than
Well, what
anybody
did you
else.
do to play?
Well, being a boarding school, maybe that's because he liked you, Grandpa.
That's true. Yeah, that was boarding. Yeah.
Why did you get beaten so much?
Yes.
Yes,
Good question.
for being rude to prefects, to the senior people, the senior boys, being rude to them,
Not at their beck and
not
call.
taking their orders sufficiently well. Yeah, so they reported me to the headmaster. Yeah, so you were caned on your hand in those days, which is not very nice, is it really, to
No.
spoil your hands? Yeah.
Especially as you were piano. You played music.
Yes.
You didn't mention that.
Oh, well, I sort
He
of,
started to say you played piano.
yeah, I played the piano. That's
And?
true. Oh, and the clarinet I played, yeah. For a time, yeah. But the piano, playing the piano was quite useful because I could, when I spent my year in Switzerland on holidays one time, and I got really taken into singing there. I was only there a week, and I was there really for learning French. But the master really took an interest in my singing, and introduced me to all the Schubert songs. Yes, so I should have mentioned that earlier. Schubert is certainly something I love. His songs. So I got into that. Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
What was the naughtiest thing you ever did, Mum?
I don't remember.
Too many.
I don't think I know anymore.
Well, you were caught streaking in Gadsden.
No, I wasn't.
It didn't catch her.
She was too speedy. They thought they were going to catch her.
No, nothing like that.
Did you get pocket money as children? And if so, what did you use it for?
I can't imagine what we used it for. Sweet, sweet.
Yes, one did get pocket money, for sure. Every child had pocket money.
I don't remember this.
Gobstoppers.
How did you get around? So you say you would go up to the ice rink. You would go there on a tram, on a train, on a bicycle.
Yeah, I think.
Well, the ice rinks were walking distance typically, so that wasn't a problem. At Richmond, it was certainly walking distance, and Wembley, well, it was that wasn't too far either.
Our car was on stilts during the war.
I mean, in my later years, my father bought me a motorbike, and so I had a motorbike, which I came off 2 or 3 times in the first year that I had it, and decided it was a bit dangerous for me, and gave it back to my father and said, "Thank you very much, I won't have that anymore. You're lucky that I'm still alive." Yeah.
And he said, cool. Lucky.
What make of motorbike was it?
Yes. I have worked that out not so long ago.
Was it a matchless?
That's right, yes, it was a matchless. I think I've worked it out with you before, yeah.
You were lucky.
Grandy had a Vespa, did you?
Oh, yes, I
Oh my
did.
God, you're a biker.
Yes, I
Grandy was a mod.
I was a Billy mod.
I've only just realised, but Grandpa's got a thing called cauliflower ear that
he
rugby
hasn't.
players get.
Oh, no.
No, that's growing in his ear.
That's grown out the front.
Yeah, because
That's not a quick play, you have to ask a question.
okay. Well,
You've got a quick play.
What position did you play at rugby, Grandpa?
okay.
He's not going to
And
answer.
why?
Left flank, a left flanker. I was a flanker.
Why was it left flanker and not open
Wing-
side or closed side?
Wing forward, well, closed side if you like, wing forward on the left-hand side.
I'm normally wing left or right.
What?
I don't know why, but I came to like that side, and that was me.
So there's a matchless motorcycle club in Cambridge.
Oh, my gosh.
42
yes.
Old School Lane,
Your
Milton,
secret's out,
Cambridge.
Grandpa.
Well,
We thought
don't
you went
put
to the
ideas
coffee shop
into his
every
head.
morning.
Started building them in
That's all I
It was a
1901.
350, I think it was, a matchless
Amazing.
350. Yeah. It had been militarily, it had been in the military, I think, before I got it. Yeah.
Did you get on with Richard and Valda?
Not with Valda, because the mother rather spent her time with Valda, I think. Not particularly
I
with
don't
Valda.
remember being, I can remember saying loudly that if anybody did any damage to my sister, I would kill them. No, I was
You gave her a
I was
pushchair.
pretty
a tweak.
loving of my sister and my brother. Sorry.
You gave her pushchair a tweak.
What, down a hill or something?
Yes.
When was this?
It's one of your best stories.
Really? I don't remember.
When she was tiny, obviously.
Oh.
She was
You were
3
trying to get
years
rid of her.
younger. Yes,
Oh, on the lawn.
yes.
Oh yes, when she was really tiny in a pram. I pushed her down the lawn, and
Hoping that she'd go
she
for
rolled over the flowers at the bottom, and I was sent to my room for the rest of the day. Yes. Yes.
Richard has been very sweet, really. He's visited us from America. Richard.
Who's this?
Richard,
Oh yes.
your younger brother.
Yeah, he was 8 years younger than I, so we had no competition really. Yeah. Yeah. He went to America.
So, Granny, what about your brothers?
Well, my elder brother, is much more lively than I am, and my younger brother is dead.
Well, I meant when as children.
As children.
Yes, don't avoid
Well,
the
my
question.
younger brother has run away from every school he was put in. I think he was a slightly damaged child, but we'll never know. And he fell off lorries and all sorts when he was adult.
What do you mean by slightly damaged child, Mum?
Well, I mean, most children would put up with until they got to know. Well, autistic maybe he was, but I don't know. I don't know whether he was or not.
But he never settled in a school.
No, he never settled in a school, and he used to run away from them periodically.
What were the age differences?
He was 6 years younger than I was, so he never had a father.
That's right. So I've often wondered how much the death of his father affected him.
We just saw him once, I think.
Mm.
And my older brother was at school then, and was very intelligent and liked school. But we couldn't go out to. My father thought that Singapore was safer than this country, which proved to be absolutely wrong. But at that stage, he wrote so frequently to my mother saying, "Please come." And we didn't come because my
He was a
older brother
captain
was
in
at
the Navy.
school.
How old was your older brother?
About 3 years younger than
Oh.
me. And he
Where did you say you didn't fly out to vacations? Where did you go on holiday? Where was holiday?
a
Where
holiday.
would you go on holiday?
was a joke,
We went
really.
to Birchington in Kent. A very nice
So you went very locally.
holiday.
But,
Yes.
well, wherever Birchington is, it's Kent.
Well, it's near Margate, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's along the coast from you then.
On the coast, north coast. of
Yes.
Kent, yeah.
Well, we went very locally, and we went locally too. But we pedalled our way up to
Ham Bay.
Somerset when Jonathan couldn't even get on a bike.
So were these holidays planned well in advance, or did you just go, oh, it's sunny this weekend, we're off?
No, we had to plan them in advance. I suppose because the school holidays
Oh, well, one went with
Coincided
one's
with-
parents.
and yes.
The parents took the family, and that was it. There was no alternative.
No, Birchington is right by Margate,
Thank you.
top right corner of Kent.
Yeah.
I went with cousins on holiday down to the corner of Devon, probably. Down to the Devon coast. But no, we didn't go very much and very often, and
There was no question of going overseas.
and certainly not overseas now. So
How old were you when you had your first alcoholic drink?
I have no idea. Don't know that either.
8 o'clock this morning.
13? 14?
I don't think my mother had anything in the house except sherry.
Which is
That's
alcoholic.
alcoholic.
I know.
Oh,
I
right.
didn't like it anyway.
Yeah, but I tried it numerous
Yeah,
times.
but, and I knew I didn't like it because I
I
tried it
didn't.
a few times.
I
Yeah.
did try it, but I didn't like it. I think in East Africa probably I had my first, no, it can't have been my first drink.
You're a G&T girl in East Africa, I think.
Well, I was a sort of brandy girl when I left East Africa. I never drank vastly. Anyway,
Not after that bad experience.
I didn't have a bad experience. I never had a bad
Yeah,
experience.
that's right.
Or a
Sorry,
mom and
I-
dad
Not to be admitted.
Not after narrowly outrunning the police in Gadsden while streaking.
What was Dad's bad experience then?
Drinking?
Hmm.
Oh, when you don't drink too much. And he kept saying, take me out to supper. I'd go downstairs to supper. I'd go downstairs to supper. We'll go downstairs to supper. And by the time he surfaced, it was long past supper time.
It's a pretty bad experience.
That's a silly stuff.
Where was that? Where were you going down to supper?
I don't know.
Clearly, you were very hungry.
It was, well, it must have been at a show or something in East Africa.
In Nairobi.
And so Dad was so
Probably
hammered that he couldn't
Yes.
get out of bed to go take
No.
you to supper.
You remember that?
No?
Yeah, well,
Don't know what the story is. Tell me about it.
no, I'm not going to say it again.
Yes, great.
We've had enough, I think.
What was your first car?
Our first car, Dad's first car.
Your parents' first car?
My parents' car, I remember the war years, our car was stuck up on Mars. It was lifted off the ground, off its wheels, and left in the garage.
That was standard.
Because you couldn't get any petrol, probably. And we were walking distance, there was distance. So I'd rather
Yeah.
not walk, probably. Lovely. And with your first car, what did you have when you first? And now I'm the only driver.
Did you have a car before you went to Africa?
No, I don't think so.
So your car in Africa was a Beetle or something?
That's right,
Probably
something like
was
that.
given by the firm that not belonged to us. Oh, I remember the first one probably was your father's disgust at my not having transport.
Oh yes, I thought of that.
And
That was a Hillman he got. wasn't it?
yes, and Hillman he got for me for my use. Well, I didn't pass the test. I passed.
After we were married and
Yes, that must have been the
Mum
first
was
car
looking
I
after
had.
the house and so on while I went round all the farms all the time selling stuff. My father came out to visit us and was appalled at the fact that Mum had no car, and he gave us this Hillman, it was, I think, a Hillman estate for Mum to have. Because I had a company car, you see, and so I was using it all day. Yeah. And that's all.
Do you remember
Oh
getting
yes, and then when Dad died, there was an item in his will charging me for the blessed car that he'd given
Yes, that was
Mum
funny.
all those years before. It was in his will.
Yes,
Yes.
but he was trying to even
Reduced
things
my
out
reduced
between.
payment.
Yes.
Good. That nonsense. Yeah.
So what did he do for a job, Dad, when you were children?
Yeah, Dad.
Oh, did we do
Yeah,
that?
we did.
Sorry.
Yeah, the Rhodesia, he was assistant London agent for the Rhodesia Railways, yeah. And
Sorry, I missed that.
and his office moved from London during the war to Ascot, which is, so we moved near there for a bit, so as to be near him. So I used to watch some of the races, the horse racing. Yeah, quite something. Interesting place, Ascot, I think. Yeah.
So what does the London agent for the Rhodesia Railways do?
Yes. Sorry, I thought earlier I should have said enlarged on that. He used to recruit engine drivers and things
To go down there?
to go down to Rhodesia, yeah, onto
And
the...
after he retired, he did the circuit that he'd been dealing with all his life and didn't know.
Oh, he went down there and
He
rode
went
it?
down there and he came into us.
Yes, he came and
On the way
visited
back.
us. Yes, he had never been to Rhodesia. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's quite a story, isn't it?
yeah.
They looked after him.
It suggests he was quite good at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You trained in Rhodesia, didn't you, for the
Yes, I did.
Kenya Regiment?
Yeah, that's in my book, I think. Yeah. Yes, I went down there for 6 months, military training. Yeah. Quite. I was comparing it to my new knowledge of Kenya and how the Europeans had coped in Kenya with how they'd coped in Rhodesia and so on. And, you know, Rhodesia was called the home of black ants, white ants and Scotsmen. Many Scots had gone to Rhodesia and so on. And I thought on the whole that the African had a better life in Rhodesia than he did back in Kenya. And, I mean, there was more wealth around in Rhodesia than in Kenya in those days. Because, as to be seen by the fact that they had Rhodesia railways and things to spend money on recruiting English staff or drivers for, which we didn't have in Kenya for sure in those days.
What would have been a typical Christmas day for you as a Chloe-aged person?
Clearly aged person.
What would happen in your family on Christmas Day? Did you have stockings?
I have no idea whether we had stockings. We had a goose instead of a turkey, sent by an uncle up in here, Lincolnshire. Lived up in Lincolnshire.
He had a goose farm?
Well, I don't know what he had, but there is the bulb. Is it bulbs?
What kind of bulbs?
The tulip bulbs.
Alright. In Lincolnshire.
In Lincolnshire? No. He had a farm. I don't know what they grew or what they had, but they obviously had geese.
Yeah, there's lots of geese in Lincoln, that's for sure.
Oh, are there?
Yeah.
What, wild geese?
Yeah.
Or tame geese?
Wild. Yeah, wild.
Wild geese. Farmed geese.
No, maybe. Not what I'm thinking of, though. I'm thinking of by the river.
Okay.
And how do those geese affect your
Well, sorry.
No, it's okay.
There was fun, you know, getting a Christmas tree, for example. That was always something to be done at Christmas. Finding a Christmas tree to get and to plant somewhere in the house. That was always a bit of fun.
I think you must have been a bit wealthier than we were, because I think we bought in branches and made our Christmas tree. I don't remember Christmas.
Did you have lights on your tree?
Probably, I don't remember. Help.
Well, Grandpa had real electric lights and you had made up plastic paper candles, right?
Yes.
So you would drag in branches from the woods
Yes,
of
we
multiple shapes and sizes
Yes.
and tape them together with
And
string
make
or
a
something.
tree, yes. Out of the branches, yes.
And your tree
Oh,
would
that
stand
made me
up or would
jump
hang
so
down.
much.
It would stand up.
Why did you do that?